definitely say, how's it going? Other folks, I think they change different things. Sometimes they say, well, I never say, how are you? That's too textbook for me. I
Too
always
formal?
too formal for me. Yeah, it's too textbook. It's just if it's from a book. How are you? I am fine. And you, you know? I don't like
Mm.
that. No. I just say, how are you? Or I mean, I say, how's it going? What's up? You know, what's up? I don't usually say in what's up? I don't actually say. Maybe I'm just weird, but I always say how's it going?
Something in between.
Something in between, exactly. The happy medium in the middle.
Like here, for example, we ask, ¿Qué tal? That's more common than ¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, exactly right. ¿Qué tal? Or ¿cómo te va? Right?
Yeah, I use more, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué
¿Qué
tal?
tal?
More. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's awesome. In the Dominican Republic, I think they say ¿cómo tú estás?
Ah,
Yeah,
the
¿cómo tú
short form.
estás?
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo
Yeah,
tú estás?
it's they really like it because it's much more relaxed. It's a very relaxed kind of Spanish. It's island Spanish. From all those islands like Puerto Rico and all these
Caribbean.
countries. Yeah, exactly. Those countries in the Caribbean or there's actually two ways to pronounce it, Julissa, right? So the way you pronounced it, Caribbean, or you said Caribbean, right? You can also say Caribbean. It's actually more it's actually more American to say the way you said it.
Caribbean?
Caribbean. Caribbean. Uh-huh. Caribbean. Caribbean is more American, but you can also say Caribbean. Both of them are 100% correct. Um, Sometimes in English we make a joke when two words sound the same, or when
Uh,
two words can be pronounced two different, or I'm sorry, when one word can be pronounced two different ways. The joke is, oh, tomato, tomato, tomato. That's how we talk. Because some people say tomato, even though it's very rare. It's a joke we make in English. So if I say, Caribbean and you say Caribbean, I can
uh,
say no problems, tomato, tomato, same difference. You know,
uh,
that's how we say it. But nobody says tomato. I don't know how we got that phrase, but everybody says,
tomorrow. For
uh,
tomorrow? Or it's another word?
yeah, tomorrow is different. This is, tomato. A tomato,
Ah,
tomato.
tomato.
Tomato or
Ah,
tomato. Yeah. I don't know who says tomato. Everyone says tomato. But we have that phrase in English that we use anytime two people pronounce the same word differently, we
uh,
say, no problems, tomato, tomato, no problems.
it's the
You know,
same.
it's the same, exactly, exactly. So it's interesting, but yeah, como tu ta, I love that, como tu ta, and they say many different phrases that are just in Mexico. They say "qué onda, güey,"
Way. Uh-huh.
way, ¿qué onda, güey?
Onda
So
way.
¿qué onda, güey? And then they say "órale" a lot.
Yes,
I
I heard
love
that.
"órale." It's such a fun phrase, "órale."
Órale,
Um,
ándale.
Ándale, órale, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Órale, manito.
Yeah,
I
it's
watch too much Mexican TV, soap
las
operas,
las
TV shows.
telenovelas, right?
Yes, here almost all the day they displayed from during the week.
Mexico. Yeah, the Mexican soap operas, there are two channels that every family in the US, Spanish speaking or non-Spanish speaking, knows about. Univision and Telemundo.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like when I was watching Univision one day, or maybe it was Telemundo, the the way they advertise the soap operas, it's so dramatic, right? Like they say La Madrastra, and I
Yes.
was like, what? It's not a movie, right? But the way they like the girl is crying, no, mi amor, por favor, La Madrastra, It's like, and I was like,
Very
what?
dramatic.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, this is so funny. And then I was watching, I mean, the ads are funny, but the soap operas themselves are very serious, very good acting in some of them. I really enjoy it. Like a couple of the ones I've seen have been very fun.
Yes, but these days they are repeating the same stories from the past. They are making like remakes from all
Uh-huh.
the soap operas.
Yeah. Is it something that, I mean, I guess most of the soap operas are just like love stories, right?
Yes, love stories. The classic story is the rich guy that meets the poor woman. They have problems at the beginning, then they got married, then they live happy forever.
Oh, really? There's no madrastra?
Yes, yes, there are. That
That
is part
sounds,
of the dramatic part.
yeah, right? So after they get married or when they want to get married, all of a sudden, La madrastra aparece. It's crazy. I really like that. Like, oh my God, it's funny. It's really funny. And we have some soap operas in the U.S., but that are actually pretty famous, but young people don't really watch them, I don't think. I think they're shows for maybe older women when they
Yeah,
are, at home.
at home. Yes, watching.
Exactly, exactly. Great, great. So, did you do anything cool today, or how was your Sunday? Just a normal Sunday?
Today I didn't do nothing or something special. I was just at home, uh, resting. I was reading a bit of my book, The Alchemist, El Alquimista.
Yeah, yeah.
I started to read it, and I took two classes before, and that's it.
Awesome, awesome, fantastic. Sounds like a good weekend, or at least a good Sunday. And let's see. So I was going to wait a little bit longer, maybe another minute. I had two folks in my last class. It was an interesting class because we had we had some folks who were we actually had one new person, and then now we have Harun. Harun, nasılsınız abi? Neredesin? Neredesiniz?
Hello. Evdeyim. İstanbul'dayım.
Çok güzel, çok güzel.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Because after 1 month, I just catch you.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining. I sent you the message on Facebook. I think you got a chance to see the message, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I saw it already, but I also told you, the midnight in Turkey, so now it's
Oh,
okay
yeah.
for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, well, actually, since last week, I have two morning classes as well. So if you can make it to those morning classes, I think that would be easier for your schedule.
No, yeah, because I'm working in morning, so I cannot join. So I can just between 7 or 10 p.m. In Turkey.
Yeah, so my first class is 8 a.m. US, which is, oh no, that would be 4 p.m. Turkey. And then my next class is 10 p.m., 10 a.m. in the US, which would be 6 p.m. in Turkey. So it's off by a little bit, Harun, unfortunately. I know.
It, I don't know how is your company arrange your program. Is it changing always or stable?
Yeah, no, it's stable. I actually chose the classes that I want to teach. I have things going on in the afternoon most of the days, so that's why I had to stop teaching by 11 a.m. because from 11 a.m. I have other projects that start between 11 and 5 or 11 and 6 p.m. Here, I work on those projects. So the morning I give to Kolingo 2 hours, and then the afternoon from uh, well, actually at night from 9 to 11 p.m. every night in the U.S., Chicago, and also 8 to 10 a.m. in the mornings, Chicago. So those are my 4 hours of Kolingo on the weekdays. But yeah, I know it's not the best setup, Harun, unfortunately. But if you have questions, let me know. We can always hang out outside of class also if you want.
Yeah, okay, okay. But
Yeah.
I didn't see you on the Skype. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, Skype, I don't use that often actually, Harun. Gmail is the best way to get in touch with me. If you need something, Gmail is the best way. I I tell people I'm married to my Gmail. Gmail is my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm always checking it, like every second, every day. So yeah, here's my email actually, Har. I don't know if I gave it to you before, but here's my email. Feel free. I check the Gmail all the time, so you won't have any
Okay.
problems. Yeah.
Now I'm adding it.
Yeah, fantastic. I appreciate that. How's everything in Istanbul? İstanbul'da sonbahar çok güzel orada.
Yes, actually these days not good for me because I think maybe you can remember that I tried to change my house from Asia to Europe.
Uh-huh.
So now I just finished it. So these days, maybe after these days, I will be relaxed and I will find more time to join the Kolingo class.
Absolutely.
And also before Kurban Bayram, I visited to Montenegro and Albania and Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it's so busy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think I saw your pictures on Facebook, Harun. That was beautiful when you went to Bosnia.
yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a
It's
really beautiful country, right?
very beautiful and very dramatic historical place. It's very effective for me. Uh,
No,
it's
that's
very,
awesome. It reminds you of the Tariq Osmanlı Tariq.
Actually, yes, there is some mosque, so I can see the my history, Ottoman history, but I think there is a new history, the 93 Srebrenica, something like that.
Yeah, Srebrenica massacre, right?
Yes, so I just saw that, not more history. There's a
Hmm.
lot of bad buildings, destroyed homes.
Did
That's
they
it.
so like, did they keep those buildings the same way they were
Yes,
when they were
yes, yes,
destroyed? Oh wow,
yes.
okay.
I don't know why, but yes, because they didn't do anything. These destroyed buildings, they are built new buildings, but the old buildings stay like in a war. I don't know why.
Maybe as a reminder, honestly, Harun, I don't know, but maybe it's almost like a memorial to the people who died, right? That this is how they were killed, or this is how the city was destroyed, you know?
Maybe it can be, but actually, in my opinion, I think the Bosnian people has more affected from the war.
Hmm.
But after the war, they don't have any money. They are very very poor. But the other nations, Hırvat and Serbian peoples, they are more rich. So I think yes, there is a one part is about the history to remember the war, but other things, the Bosnian guys, I think, so poor,
Hmm.
so they didn't change anything yet. Maybe other countries, if they help, maybe we can erase the war history.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's really I'm sure it was a very powerful reminder of the horrors and tragedy of war, right? So, Julissa, just to let you know, what we are talking about, Harun and I, Harun recently went to the East European country of Bosnia, and in Bosnia there is a place called Srebrenica. I think it's written like this.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
in
Srebrenica, yes.
Srebrenica, yeah, in 1993 or 1994, there was a civil war there, and Bosnian people, civilians, around 5,000 men and boys were killed at Srebrenica by the Serbian army. So in the 1990s, there was a big war between Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia
Yeah,
was a country in those times. There were four or five groups. You had the Serbians fighting fighting the Bosnians. There were also people from Croatia, Albania,
yeah,
Kosovo, right? Yeah.
Not Albania, not Albania.
Not Albania, okay, but Kosovo was there, I think, right?
Yes, because Albania is out of the Yugoslavia, but the Croatia and Serbian and Bosnian and some United Nations army.
The UN's probably, right? The United Nations was
Yeah,
probably there, right?
yes, United Nations.
And there was a
But I think
massacre, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Harun, I'm
yes.
sorry.
No, please go on, please.
Oh no, so it was all I was going to say, Julissa, was that there was a massacre and about 5,000 civilians, men and boys, were killed at Srebrenica. Yeah.
Just in the Srebrenica, I read a lot of books and a lot of tables in there. Just in Srebrenica, 10,000 guys killed.
Wow, so it was 10,000. Okay, so much
Yes.
more.
It's,
Yeah.
If all the war, they are talking about 20 guys, 20 men and child and woman was died, but I think it's horrible.
Yeah, it was a very big tragedy for the people. And that
Yes.
war in general, in the 1990s, it was a very difficult time for people in that part of the world. So that's what we're talking about, Julissa. Sorry we were just getting into a different track.
No, it's okay.
I want to say the last things.
Yeah.
We are talking about Bosnia Herzegovina now, after 10 years later. I'm so unhappy. Maybe 20 years later, we will talk about Iraq. We will talk about Syria, Egypt, maybe other countries, maybe other African countries. But it's not good, now we are living. We just try to discover what happened in Bosnia Herzegovina, but now we are living in the war near our country, Syria, in Iraq, maybe next time Iran, we don't know. It's a big tragedy, I think, for the human life.
It is, right? We hear about tragedy, we hear about war, and it's happening in our backyards, but we don't understand the full tragedy of war until we actually go and see, or until we are affected by it ourselves, right? Hopefully we are never affected by this. People we are related to and our friends and families are never affected by things like this. But it's difficult because we do know so many fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers and children that are growing up orphans, in these conflicts. And I mean, there is a certain level of compassion that we have to show them because we are human beings just like them. But there's compassion also needs to translate into some kind of action, right? And that action is not something that most of us, I can speak for myself, it doesn't translate always from compassion into action, right? I read a lot, I study a lot, I know a good amount of information about some of these things, but then I don't do anything beyond that. I just talk about it, right? And talking is not as effective as doing something, right? As actually taking action. In English, we have a saying, don't talk the talk, walk the walk, right? So you can talk the talk all you want. That's what I do. That's my job. I talk the talk all the time. But do I walk the walk? Am I doing any actions? I can say for myself, I'm not doing anything, to help these people.
Just not you, also all peoples like you.
Yeah.
If you don't take any pain from the war, we just talking about it because we don't have any relation about the war. And now the Iraq, Syria near my country, but I cannot feel what did happen in these countries because I'm not living there. Maybe 20 years later, everything will be finished. A lot of guys will die, and I will see what is happening here, and my children maybe. Let's see. I cannot believe.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The level of
Yes.
war and destruction and tragedy that, in a single day they can wipe out a city and we would have no idea what happened, right? The technology of war that we have these days is so brutal, so, uh, so destructive, right? That
Yes.
an entire city can be wiped out in one day. Thousands of people can be killed in one day, and we would have no idea. I would still be talking like I'm talking, and I would have no idea what's actually happening. So, um, yeah, thank you, Harun, for sharing that. I know it's not the most enjoyable conversation, but
Yeah.
at least I learned a lot from that, right?
Thank you for listening. I'm so sorry to cutting your lesson.
No, no,
I
not
don't
a
know.
problem.
I don't know what's your topic, and I just want to say, Julissa, right? Julissa, I'm sorry for cutting your
No, it's okay.
conversation.
It's
Oh, that's fine, Harun.
it helps us
Julissa, yeah, go ahead. I'm
to
sorry,
know a
Julissa.
little bit from it helps us to know a little bit about what's happening in other places because sometimes we don't hear about this in the news, that in the local news they don't
Yeah.
mention about some other the other things happening in the world.
Uh-huh. Absolutely, absolutely. We do have. Go ahead, Harun. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Actually, you cannot hear anything from the news because the man who has the weapon in right hand, and they has also newspapers there, um, um
The
so
media, right? The media.
yes, they have a media, also they have a weapon, you know, in
Uh-huh.
the same people. So they didn't write how many people they killed. They just show us we didn't kill these guys. So you have to be happy.
Uh-huh. Absolutely right. The person who's controlling I mean, the army and the people with power also have a lot of influence over the people who are
Media.
over the media, exactly, right? So we don't hear stories unless they are from, alternate sources, maybe third parties, people on the ground, citizen journalism, right? Those are the things that really help us figure out what's happening on the ground. I would never go to CNN to learn about what's happening in Iraq. Never, ever, ever. Never. That to me, the reading CNN for finding out what's in Iraq is like just staring at my wall and asking my wall, "Hey, what's happening in Iraq?" Because probably thinking by myself, I will probably think more creatively than watching CNN. Because CNN international news is absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. If you watch the CNN in the US, if you watch the CNN inside this country, international news is garbage. They spend 5 minutes talking about the Prince George of England getting, he's what, 3 months old, and they spend 5 minutes on him and 1 minute on Syria. That's how they do news in this country. International news in this country. It's a disaster. Absolute garbage. You know.
Not just CNN, also BBC.
The
BBC and
BBC, yeah,
the same. BBC and CNN, I think they're same weapon, I think.
they are. We call them in English. If two things are similar, we say birds of a feather. They are birds of a feather. They say the two birds with the same feather, right? So they are birds of a feather, right? They are peas in a pod. They're two peas in the same pod, right?
Ah, okay.
You can't separate those things because they're just like brothers to each other, right? Yeah, guys. So thank you though for sharing, guys. I always enjoy a great conversation. Today we are going to be looking at the verbs that use special types of prepositions, guys. And the article that we're going to be looking at it's going to involve travel. So I actually really enjoyed the fact, Harun, that you introduced a topic for travel. We talked about Bosnia, right? And we are going to travel to a country in Southeast Asia that is just recently beginning to open up to the world. This country is Burma. It's known as Burma. It's pronounced, its official name is Myanmar. Myanmar, or in the old translation, it was known as Burma. It is between India and China. Small. It's actually a very large country, and it is finally opening up to the world. So more and more Westerners are now going to Myanmar. They are visiting this country. They're talking about the food, the restaurants, all the attractions. And we're going to take a look because I have never been to Myanmar. The country my parents are from, the country of Bangladesh is actually right next to Myanmar, but we don't share a language or we don't share the same religion or the same language or the same culture. So I don't know anything about that country either, right? It's similar to Thailand. So if you know Thailand, Myanmar is in that neighborhood between China, India, and also Thailand, right in the middle. So we'll take a look at that as well, guys. First of all, though, before we get started, right, I wanted to take a quick look at, so when we are talking about prepositions of place and prepositions of time, right, we have some simple rules, right? The one word that we use a lot, right, when we are, the two words that we use a lot when we are talking about different kinds of prepositions are to and for, right? And we combine to and for with a lot of different verbs, right? So I want to go to the beach, right? And if I don't use the word to in that phrase, the meaning will change, right? For example, if I say I want some ice cream, and then I say I want to get some ice cream, there's a big difference between those two, right? I want ice cream is somebody has it, give it to me. I want to get ice cream is I am saying my desire, my wish is to personally go and get ice cream for myself, right? So these to and for, they're prepositions. Specifically, we call them advanced prepositions, right? And we call them advanced prepositions because they are used in conjunction with other verbs, right? And without these verbs, without to and for, these verbs would not have the same meaning, right? So I want to is very different from I want, right? So we have many different types of examples, many different types of examples of when we use this, right? For example, if you are talking about an interest, if you have an interest in something, you can say I am willing to. I am willing to visit Bosnia to learn about Srebrenica, right? I am willing to travel to Peru to try ceviche, right? It's a desire that I have, right? So the verb itself is willing to, right? I am willing to. I wish to do something, right? I refuse to do something. I don't want to do it, right? So all of these verbs, we see these kinds of examples, right? Other verbs that work in the same way. I plan to, right? I plan to read a book about Turkish tea, right? I love Turkish tea. I plan to read this book about Turkish tea, right? I need to. I have to, right? I have to finish my homework before Friday, right? I need to ask my mother about my sister's condition. Maybe my sister is feeling sick. I need to ask my mother about my sister's condition. So these are all examples of verbs, guys, all examples of different verbs that we use with to. And we have the same library, we have a very similar library for verbs that we use with for, right? That really is the focus of our conversation today. So when we are making these kind of phrases, we can say, the subject plus the verb and then to, right? So I want to, and then another verb, right? So the construction is pretty simple. The construction is simply the subject plus the verb and then the word to and then another verb phrase. So we have two verbs, right? I want to go to the beach. Want is the first verb, go is the second verb, right? So do you guys have any questions about this so far? How do we use these words with these verbs with to? Any questions?
No.
Yes,
Well,
I have a question about wish.
Uh-huh.
Can you give us more examples about wish to?
Wish to, right? So you want to see, for example, you can say, I wish to, for example, order, I wish to order a special gift for my mother's birthday, right? It's not something that is, I'm glad you asked that question, Julissa, because you can say the same thing by saying I want to, or I plan to, or I desire to, right? Desire to is a little bit more formal. We don't really use that in normal conversation. But you can say, I wish to do something. Like I wish to, let's say you're at a store and you want to buy something nice for somebody, right? then the person can ask you, what do you wish to do with this? You know, that's a common thing we hear in stores, especially maybe a nicer store, maybe a wedding store, or a formal kind of store. You know, for who do you wish to buy this? Right? It's a very nice way of saying, instead of saying, for who do you want to buy this? For who do you wish to buy this? Right? For who do you wish to give this as a present? Right? Very, very kind of formal. People in those formal stores, they talk like that. So you can say, if somebody asks you, for who do you wish to buy this? You can say, oh, I wish to buy this for my husband, my wife. You know, it's a special anniversary gift or something like that. It's a little bit, it's almost, Julia said, it's almost like a polite way of saying want. It's kind of a very flowery, beautiful way of saying I want to, if you say I wish to.
Yes, because I remember that when we use wish,
Uh-huh.
we use the past. I wish I had, or I wish I, for example, I wish I spoke more languages.
Uh-huh.
Like it's something that you wish for the future.
Or it's something like maybe kind of like a regret that you wish you could do something, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah, right. There are many ways we can use wish actually. The way that you described it is 100% perfect. 100% perfect. And even in the list of these verbs that I'm looking at, I don't see wish. It's not something that they wrote in the lesson because it's a little bit of a weird verb, right? We don't need to use it to say the other kinds of things that we want to say. You can say I want to, I plan to, you know, all of those verbs would also work. But I included it here because I think I remembered it and we can use it.
So
Um,
it's possible then to use I wish to.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, absolutely. In the same way you can say I want to do something, I wish to do something. But
Ah,
it's formal and we don't use it as much as we, you know, like in Spanish you say like yo deseo, like yo deseo comprar algo para mi amigo, right? Or you can say yo quiero comprar algo para mi amigo, right?
yeah,
The
okay.
quiero is much more
More formal.
normal. Yeah. But if you say yo deseo hacer algo, it's a little bit more like, oh, tú deseas hacer esto. It's un poco raro, right? Because you don't usually hear that kind of language. But in the store or in a formal way, you know, ¿qué desea usted? ¿Qué desea comprar usted? Right? Much more like, you know, polite,
¿Qué
formal
quiere
kind of.
comprar?
Yeah, but quiere comprar is like perfect, right? Everybody can say that. Like it's just the normal conversation. But when we use deseo, it's the same as saying I wish to.
Ah, okay. So, and what do
Yeah.
you wish to buy? Something like that. They ask you.
Yeah. What would you wish to buy, right? Or what would you? Who do you wish to buy this for, right? What do you wish to give as a gift, right? What do you want to give as a gift? Same meaning, zero
Ah,
difference. But I don't know. Sometimes I speak too formally, Julissa. I think that's one of my mistakes.
no,
Sometimes,
good
like
for us to know.
yeah, sometimes I feel I speak very formal, even among like people my age. They don't usually speak as formally as I do. So maybe it's an unusual thing to have me as a teacher. But um, any questions? Any other questions, guys, about these verbs that use to?
No.
Good so
No,
far? Okay,
no,
guys.
that's all clear.
Could you guys give me an example? So let's start with Harun. Harun, can you give me an example of any one of these sentences? Just make a sentence with any one of these verbs that use to.
Mm, um, Actually, I heard about some things the Myanmar last year.
Uh-huh.
So I wish to visit to Myanmar the next year.
Uh-huh. I wish to visit Myanmar next year, right? Fantastic. And Julissa, what about you? Let's hear something from you as well, please.
I refuse to wash the dishes, to do the dishes.
Fantastic. I refuse to do the dishes, and maybe because maybe you don't feel like it, maybe you're tired, maybe you think it's somebody else's turn, right? I refuse to wash the dishes. Fantastic, right? So you're saying, what's another way of saying I refuse to? This is
I don't
a
want to.
I don't want to. Fantastic. I don't want to wash the dishes. I refuse to wash the dishes. Right? Fantastic. They both have the same exact meaning. So that was the first type of example, guys, right? When we look at verbs that use to. We also have a lot of verbs that use for, right? And the way that we use the verbs for, we have, for example, you have something that is, it's something that, we have verbs that we have some adjectives also that use for, right? It's not always verbs. So that's what makes it a little bit more complicated. So, for example, in normal English conversation, it's very common to say, for example, I am happy for you, Julissa, that you had such a great weekend, right? I'm so happy for you that you had a great weekend, that you were able to relax, right? Happy for somebody, sad for somebody, excited for somebody, right? These are feelings, right? So if you hear somebody is pregnant, it's their first child. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations, That everybody says that, right? I'm happy, excited, right? Sad for something, right? So I'm so sad for your loss, right? If somebody passes away, people say, I'm so sad for your loss, right? If please let me know if I can help in any way, right? If somebody dies, we say, I'm so sad for your loss, right? I'm so sad for him that his mother is sick, that his mother is ill, right? So these are all different types of ways that we use adjectives this time, not verbs with for, right? But we can also use verbs, right? So these adjectives are just one example. We can also use verbs, right? You can say, for example, I am waiting for my friend, right? Or you have to wait a long time for the bus, right? I am paying for my family. This is a treat for my family. I am paying for them. Or you are paying for somebody. Harun, you take a nice, lady to a date. You're not going to be. She is not going to pay for you guys. You will pay for her, right? So if you take somebody to a restaurant, you pay for them, right? For example. So that's another way we can use. These are verbs that we use, right? So pay, wait, look for something, right? I am looking for a blue dress, right? You go into a store, I'm looking for a blue dress, right? So these are the verbs that we use for. We have adjectives and we have verbs as well. Last but not least, we also have descriptional words that we use. So these also are adjectives, but they have a different type of meaning. These adjectives are used for descriptions, not for feelings, right? So that first category we saw was, happy, excited, sad. Those were all feelings, right? And they were adjectives. But you can also use descriptive adjectives, like he is famous for his food. Maybe there's a very popular chef, right? He is famous for his food, right? He is popular for his movies, right? So these are all other ways that we can make verbs, or that we can make phrases using for as the advanced preposition. Either we have adjectives, happy, excited, sad, famous, popular, or we have verbs like pay, wait, look, stuff like that. Any questions about that, guys?
No.
Make sense?
No.
Doesn't make sense?
No, it's okay. I don't have any question.
Okay, fantastic. Would you guys mind giving me an example each of one of these? Just make a sentence with for, the verb and for, please. Let's start with Harun.
I'm very happy for to be in your class.
I'm very happy to be in your class, right? We actually can't use for that one, right, Harun? So we have to change it a little bit, right? I am very happy for myself. I'm very happy for myself that I'm joining your class. That we could make that work maybe, but it's a little unusual. Happy for. Could you make a sentence, Harun, that you're happy for somebody else maybe about something?
I'm very happy to your exam. I'm very happy for your exam. I don't know.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You can say, for example, Harun, I'm very happy for you uh, because you did well on your exam, right? I'm very happy for you because you did well on your exam, right? You can say it like that because after for, you have to say who you are happy for, right? So I'm very happy. You can't be happy for the exam necessarily, right? You're happy for the person because they did well on the exam, right? So I am happy for you since you did well on your exam, or because you did well on your exam, right? I am not happy for my sister because she failed her exam, right? I am sad for my sister because she failed her exam, right?
Okay.
So yeah, good job though, Harun. That was good. And Julissa, last but not least, please, another one of these sentences using a verb and for, please. Or not a verb necessarily, I'm sorry, or an adjective. Any one of these, different combinations. Yeah.
Uh, I'm waiting for the summer to come.
I'm waiting for the summer to come, right? Fantastic. Because did you guys have a long winter?
No, but it's still cloudy. It's not completely
Nice weather?
sunny. Sunny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not completely sunny. It's not completely like summer weather, right? Fantastic. So I am waiting for summer, right? Fantastic. I'm waiting for summer to come. All right, guys, let's get started then. I think we have a good idea of what we looked at here with these articles. Let's get started with these grammar points. Let's take a look at this article. The article is a little bit longer. I'm going to just talk about the main things, and then we are going to focus on the pictures also. Have you guys ever had Thai food? Have you guys had Thai food before? Harun or Julissa?
Yes, last February I was at Bangkok, Phuket Island, so I know what is it.
Fantastic, right, Harun? So you have a very good idea then. Julissa, have you ever had Thai food?
No, I haven't.
Uh-huh. Thai food, the way I think of it, is it's a combination kind of Indian food and Chinese food. It uses curry. It uses a lot of natural ingredients like coconut milk. They use green spices. They have something called red curry, green curry, yellow curry. It's very spicy, and it has elements from both Chinese and Indian food. So the food of Myanmar is actually, when I look at it, it looks to me as being very similar to the food from Thailand. So here's the article, guys. I'm going to screen share, and let's take a look at what we hear about Myanmar. So let's see. Where to eat and drink in Burma or Myanmar. This person still wrote Burma. I don't know why. It's supposed to be Myanmar. So see, look at this. Look at this table, guys. Right? We see some organic food. We see some beer. We see this looks like vegetables. This looks like some kind of maybe a bread, fried bread of some kind, right? So with so much delicious and interesting food in Burma, it would take a year to taste it all. Fathom contributor Kate Donnelly had a week and came pretty close. I spent a week in Burma and saw many interesting things, but as usual, I was probably most interested by what was on the table in front of me. The food in Burma is a welcome melting pot of flavors and spices, a bold adventure of hot, sour, and sweet, mixed with poppy surprises of Indian spices, chili powder, shallots, edible tea leaves, crisp fried garlic, roasted peanuts, and tangy lime. The result is a burst of flavor balance and uniqueness in every bite. You don't come to Burma for fancy five-star cuisine or trendy decor. You're here to discover the flavors of a country that's been in the darkness to the outside world for a long time. Savor the journey, right? So like this person says, Burma has really been closed to the outside world for maybe 30 years, 30 to 40 years. Now that it's finally opening up, we have Westerners going there and enjoying the cuisine and enjoying the culture, right? So this is a person who's a noodle chef. She has all these ingredients in front of her, and she's going to make noodles. right? So breakfast is usually a delicious, comforting bowl of noodles, right? And what do they have with breakfast? They have rich black Indian-style Myanmar tea called La Pet Yai, right? With a dollop of sweet condensed milk. So they actually drink milk with their tea, which is exactly the same in India. Indian people, they drink milk with their tea, right? So tea is not only for drinking. In a ceremony or special occasion, tea is also served in those settings as well, right? And they have different kinds of rice. So we can see here they have their own wine called Red Mountain, and it's produced in the southern part of their country, right? Looking at what we have here, these are the kinds of herbs they use. You know, these look like natural herbs. Their rice, they put herbs in their rice. You know, this is very Asian. Looks to me like it's very Asian kind of rice. In English, we say jasmine rice actually for the rice from China, the rice from Japan. This is probably jasmine rice. And so where can you eat if you go there, right? They're saying there's a place called the Green Elephant. This is a restaurant, and it has a seafood, or there's a seafood restaurant as well where they serve lobster, fried soft shell crab, and tiger prawns. So do you guys know what prawns are?
No.
No, what are they?
Prawns are shrimps, so like small shrimp, right? So, you know, those little things that are you put maybe in your soup or other things like that. Prawns are like shrimp, right? Um, so they are used in a lot in their cooking, right? So they have a lot of seafood, and the spicy rice is actually very spicy, right? So this is something that reminds me of some of the Thai food, food from Thailand, also food from India, very spicy food. So they have a combination of that, right? Here we see this is maybe an appetizer, right? This is looks like maybe salad, right? So they have tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, and they have fried something fried. Um, it
Maybe
says,
rice.
yeah, it says, let's see, beef cube actually. So this is beef that I think maybe they prepared um, in. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what this is, honestly, guys. They talk about a lot of things in the article. They're talking about beef cubes, and then they also mention fried fish and king prawns. So these are once again shrimp, right? Large pieces of shrimp that they sometimes fry like this. So I think this looks really delicious. What do you guys think about this picture?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, right? It looks so
With the
clean.
sauce there.
Yeah, I think it looks really
You must
delicious, right?
taste. At least.
I know, right? And this right here says it shows street food, so maybe they're preparing some kind of meal on sticks, you know, little things you can eat with your stick, with a stick. And then there are different types of other flavors too. So they're saying French and Japanese cuisine, Chinese food, Indian food, right? Lots of noodles also. So really, I mean, it's a country with a lot of different flavors in their food, right? What's interesting about the country, though, is that for many years nobody really knew anything about this country, which is what makes the exploration of Myanmar something that is very exciting for some folks, right? Um, what do you guys think? Does the food make you want to visit this country?
Yes, I like the noodles. Noodles.
Uh-huh.
So I wouldn't mind having them for breakfast.
That's awesome, right? And what do you guys usually have for breakfast in Peru? Not noodles, right?
Not noodles. Sometimes we have soups that, but that's not very common.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, I think
For
that's great.
winter,
The winter, maybe you have like a warm soup, like a chicken soup or something like that in the
yes, a
morning.
chicken soup.
Yeah, that's very
Yes.
common here also in the winter. Yeah, that's great. And Harun, would you go? You've been to Phuket, so you know the area. Would you go to Myanmar?
Uh, Actually, I stayed in 1 week in Bangkok and 2 weeks in Phuket Island, but I just one time I just tried to eat Thai food, but um, I didn't like that time. I just eat seafoods
Mm-hmm.
because these Thai foods are very spicy and uh, I don't know, but it's smiling very bad. I don't know why.
Really?
Yes, so I just eat seafoods.
You should go
Uh,
to Pera Thai in Beolu, Harun. It's a very good restaurant.
yes, I know, but I don't know. Maybe um, it's so different from our culture.
Uh-huh.
So the food is so important for me. So I
Of
just
course.
want to eat the clear meat and clear foods. But
Uh-huh.
I think Thai foods, I think so different. So
Yeah.
I didn't like. Just I ate when I was there seafoods.
Uh-huh. Fantastic, fantastic. It does make sense, right? Sometimes different cuisines. What I noticed in Turkey actually, Harun, not a lot of Indian restaurants in Turkey, not a lot of Thai restaurants. I went to the one Indian restaurant in all Istanbul, and I went to the only Thai restaurant in all Istanbul also, I think. And I went to the one sushi restaurant. It was so difficult for me to find interesting cuisine. Everywhere I went was usually I saw the fast food and I saw the traditional, Turkish food. And I said, "What if I want something else?" And it was a little bit difficult for me to find. But the food was really good. You know, I like spicy food, guys. My parents are from, a very country that's close to Myanmar. We eat a lot of spice. What about you, Julissa? Do you like spicy food as well?
Yes, I like spicy food and the food that has a lot of spice, but
Uh-huh.
not chili. For example, I don't know if the word is season, where they put it
Seasoning.
the garlic, salt,
Uh-huh. Seasoning. We say
pepper.
seasoning, actually, Julissa.
Yeah, food
Yeah.
with good seasoning, with taste. I don't like the plain food.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Different cultures have different kinds of seasoning too, right? So some cultures, Indian culture, we put a lot of different spices. If it doesn't have spices, we don't consider it to be seasoned, right? But Turkish food, for example, from what I tasted, Harun, but you're the expert. Turkish food uses less spices, but they use other kinds of, they use a lot of like natural ingredients. So, for example, in their salad and their rice, they put natural flavors. They don't just dump all these spices. Indian food, we have a lot of spices. Same thing with Thai food, a lot of spices. So I think that's one of the things that makes it a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yes, yes. Actually, I ate a lot of Indian foods in the Singapore.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it's so spicy, but I think there's a small difference between Thai foods and Indian foods, you know. Now I can eat the Indian foods, but I cannot eat the Thai foods. I don't know why. Maybe
Oh,
I
wow.
think Indian foods, especially the meats, are maybe um, benzer in Turkish foods.
Aha.
Uh,
Bilmiyorum kardeş. Benzer ne demek?
just wait.
Sure.
Similar.
Similar, aha. Aynı.
Yes. Not just
Aha.
similar, but maybe familiar.
Familiar, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, they're more
Uh,
familiar to people from Turkey.
yes, yes. So,
Uh-huh.
uh, because the Thai foods, I think you say the Thai foods and Indian food is similar, but I think it's not similar. Thai food is has a different uh, roots, but Indian
Uh-huh.
foods and Arabian countries foods and Turkish foods, I think the same way. You know, in you can eat the same
It's
meats
true, Harun.
In Istanbul, in Lebanon, in Dubai, Qatar, and in India. You can eat the same meats, but I think the Chinese, Thai, I think these foods are different.
Uh-huh. No, I agree 100% that there is a lot of similarity between Indian food and so Harun, that's very interesting actually. North Indian food, right? North Indian food is very similar to uh, food from Iran, food from the Middle East, food from Turkey, right? But just North India, right? So my family, we are also from the northern part, right? We're Bangladesh is in northern part of India. It's next to the northern part of India. We have the same food, but if you go to southern India, right, the southern Indian culture is very different. So they eat a lot of coconut. They eat a lot of natural, different kinds of foods. Not so much meat, right? Meat is really important in northern India, right? So that's why, for example, kebab, anybody will understand if you say kebab in northern India, right? Southern India, you have to maybe find special shops or special places where they make those kinds of foods. They eat a lot more rice. They don't eat a lot of bread in the south, right? So India also has a lot of different cultures, and there's a lot of different changes. But it is really really good food, the North Indian food. And yeah, maybe Thai food, I think they have more influence from maybe the China, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, those kind of countries also. So yeah, I think that's a great point. Um, I was thinking,
Yes.
guys, I was thinking one other thing I wanted to ask you guys is when you go to a different country, right, what meal, I guess, do you consider the most important meal when you travel? Do you do you enjoy having big breakfast, a big lunch, or a big dinner, or does it not matter for you which one you eat? Because for me in Turkey, I would always eat a larger dinner because I would be with friends, and in the mornings we didn't eat anything. In the lunchtime, maybe just a simit, small, cookie or something, and then at night we would have a big dinner. So dinner was very important for us. But what about you guys when you travel?
I think it depends on time. If
Uh-huh.
you are a weekend, Sunday, I think breakfast is more important for us because I'm
Mhm.
always going out with my friends to breakfast on Sunday, maybe Saturday. But in the weekday, uh, in the morning to breakfast, nothing impossible. So I think dinner is more important in weekday, but out
Mhm.
of weekday, I think the breakfast is more important for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Fantastic. And Turkish breakfast is amazing. I was in İstinye Park
Ye-
near
Yes,
in I think it was Bebek is the name of the place.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
Beautiful, beautiful restaurants there. Beautiful food, very delicious food. Uh, Next time I come to Istanbul, we have to eat there, Harun.
Of course, don't forget to call me when you come here, okay?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Julissa, what about you? When you're traveling, what is your favorite meal, or what meal do you love to enjoy with friends and family, even when you're not at home?
For me, it's the lunch. The lunch has
Uh-huh,
to
okay.
be something consistent, delicious. Yes, because at night, for me, it's not so good to eat too much.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it will be difficult for me to sleep well if I eat uh, a big dinner, if I have a
Uh-huh.
big dinner.
Uh-huh.
But and for the breakfast too, has to be something consistent. But between the breakfast and lunch, I choose lunch. That's the most important meal for me.
Yeah, the more important one. That's awesome. And it's interesting, Julissa, because when I learned about Spanish culture, when I learned about, las siestas, and all the other things, we learned that in Spanish culture or in, South American culture, they actually people prefer to have dinner maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, much later at night, right?
Yes.
For us, it's really different. For us, we have dinner in the US around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
That time here is the what we call the lunch.
Uh-huh.
That hour we have tea. It could be cookies or cake or bread
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the afternoon.
Really? That's awesome because here, honestly, when the days are short, like today, it's already night and it's just 7 o'clock. When the days are short, we have dinner at 6:30, even 5:30.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody, even my parents who are not, you know, American, right? Because they have lived here now for 20 years, 23 years, we all have dinner around 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock. Everything is done and cleaned by 8:30, and they watch a movie. Maybe my parents watch a movie. We do something. Maybe we have a little dessert around 10 o'clock, and then that's it. Then we go to sleep.
It's different.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I think that's the reason why in the culture of Latin America, you guys don't have big dinners because if you had a big dinner at 10:30, you couldn't go to sleep,
Yes.
right? But for us, we have a big dinner maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, so we sit and rest for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then we go to sleep.
Yeah, more time to digest.
Exactly, right. But it's really interesting for me because in India, it's the same situation, Julissa, same as in Peru. They have a lunch maybe around 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Then they have tea at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, maybe some dessert, maybe some sweets. And then 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, they have dinner. Really late,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, so I've seen both things, but after my parents moved here, and as far as I can remember, we have always had dinner on the American schedule at maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it was interesting for me to see that change. But anyway, guys, do we have any questions about the article about the food in Myanmar or about verbs using to and verbs using for, adjectives using for, any of the other things we looked at?
No, but I was curious about why the country of Burma was so close from the outside.
Great question. Great question. Harun, do you happen to know by any chance why it was closed?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
The country of Burma, so the country of Myanmar, why was it closed for so many years, for maybe 30 years, 35 years?
Um, Actually, I have some idea about that, but I think it's political, you know. The Myanmar has a lot of uh, s-
No problems. That's fine.
underground wealth, you know.
Uh-huh.
The Myanmar has a lot of underground wealth, but um, the Western countries just discover it. So now they just try to open the Myanmar to Western countries. So I think it's not about the Burma. Now it's not the Burma's chance or their opinion to open the West countries. I
Hmm.
think the Western countries went there, they opened some things in there, and now they just opened these countries um, to get their wealth to Western peoples. So I think it's not about why Myanmar opening these days.
Hmm.
It's just I think the European, especially USA. I think it's USA plans, not the uh, Indian or other countries' plans. So it's completely political for me.
Yeah, I think there is some truth to that, definitely, Harun. The country was. So what actually was what we read in the history books, Julissa, I can only tell you what I know from a very American point of view. Um, the U.S. history says that, Burma was closed to the outside world because they were ruled for many years by a military government. So they had a military junta. In English we say junta. I think in Spanish you guys say junta. Uh, yeah, junta militar, exactly. So they had a junta militar, and this group was, generals were controlling the government for the last 30 years. And there was a woman by the name of, I believe her name is An Seung Kim or something like that. She's a very popular leader in Burma. She was actually imprisoned for 30 years or some ridiculous amount of time she was uh, in house arrest. They didn't let her leave her house for so many years because they were extremely worried that maybe some kind of democratic revolution would happen. And this is what we hear in the U.S. that the military junta militar did not want any democracy in that country. And this woman, Aung San Suu Kyi, was really the enemy of the government. She wanted democracy, and she wasn't able to. She was in house arrest because she wanted democracy. Then finally, or I don't know why, maybe because of political reasons, just like we heard from Harun. Finally, last year, 2 years ago, the military government started opening up. Now, who knows why they decided? Maybe there's money, maybe there's CIA, FBI. I mean, who knows what happens, right? For some reason, this country is now opening up. They are allowing Western investors. This lady, Aung San Suu Kyi, she is outside now. She's traveling. She's in Europe. She gives speeches. She's welcoming people back into her country. People are thinking maybe they will be able to, maybe this country will become a democracy, that the junta will go away, right? That these generals will step down. But we honestly don't know. Burma is in a very special position in the geopolitical world. If you look at Burma's position in the world, it sits right between all of the Muslim countries, right? So if you want to control China, if you want to control Indonesia, Malaysia, if you want to have control over India in the West, then Myanmar is the perfect location to have a friend, right? So you can. It's a big reason, right? I mean, if you can control Myanmar, you can control China. China is really the biggest threat for America right now, right? Russia is not going to do anything as far as we can tell, but China, they are making a lot of gains in Africa and many other countries. So Myanmar offers, if Myanmar is America's friend, it's less of a friend to China, right? So maybe that's another political reason. But the country is blessed with a lot of natural resources. There's a lot of natural gas, a lot of forest, and maybe gold and silver also. I don't know, but they have a lot of natural resources. And the most interesting thing about Burma is it was so unknown, right? Because it was closed for 30, 35 years. Besides the big cities, a lot of the countryside hasn't been developed. So if you have big companies that can do development and you have contracts in Burma, you can become billionaires by building their cities, their bridges, their schools, their hospitals. So I think there's a lot of money to be made. We should watch what happens in the next few years to see if Burma becomes another one of these success stories using Western money.
Also, you can
Western interest.
Yeah, Julissa, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Harun. I'm sorry.
also you can find what happened and what will happen in the other countries. You can find all information in this book, Confession of an Economic Hitman. This is a series. I think there's 3 books. This guy, written by this guy. I think its name. I don't know.
John Perkins, I think John Perkins.
Yes,
right?
yes, John Perkins. Yeah, so you can find all information, what did happen in Myanmar and what will gonna be solved. Because they make everything in Ecuador. Ecuador.
Ecuador, yeah, the country, yeah.
Yes, and Indonesia, and Iran and Saudi Arabia. I think what happened in these countries now, they are making everything in Myanmar. They are making everything because 10 years ago, Iraq closed the Western countries. 10 years ago, Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, these countries was close to Western countries. So there is a one general in the in top of the head of the countries, but now they killed all head of the countries, and they just try to give democracy this country. So I think 10 years later we will talk about Myanmar. So the USA and European countries will go there to give the people the democracy. So I think same things because now they just try to buildings big plazas in Myanmar. They just try to buy the media. So 10 years later, they will show everything. What did they do in Syria, in Iraq, in Saudi Arabia? So I think same.
Yeah, you know, people don't find out about these things until 10 years after, 15 years after, when everybody's forgotten the details, right? When
Yes.
the next generation comes in, like when I'm 35, 40 years old, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to remember I had this conversation with you guys, right? I mean, that's how they work, right? They release information selectively at specific points in time, years and years after the people that died are already gone, and after the people that were, you know, the money was stolen from are no longer there to complain, right? I mean, many different, you know, there's a shadow system to, I think, the world when we look at how things, how the economies work and how the World Bank, United Nations, United States, how all of these things work, right? There's a shadow side. There's a side we see on TV, and then there's the behind the scenes also. So, yeah, so Julissa, very long answer from both Harun and me, but it's it was close for a lot of different reasons. And recently, very recently, this lady Aung San Suu Kyi she wants to be their first president, and she already declared that she will run for the presidency in 2015. So maybe she's going to be their first president after 35 years of, you know, junta militar. Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of, well, I saw the movie, I don't know if you watched it, Anna and the King. That was a bit of the story of Thailand.
Oh, Anna and the King. I have heard about it. I haven't seen it though.
Yes, when Thailand it was called Siam, I think.
Can you write down, please?
Yes. Anna and the King. I think that's
What is this?
It tells a little bit of the story of Thailand, how they were first an empire, but little by little, I think the son of the king was going to make a change in its country, to opening its country to the world. He had the son of the king had studied in Europe, something like that. So that gave him a more to have a more open mind. So at the end, we don't see what will happen, but it gives you the idea that the son of the king was the one who was going to change its country. It was also a closed country like Burma was, but it tells you that that was going to change, and I think it has. Thailand is now a democracy, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely. It is a democracy. Yeah, well, very interesting, Julissa. I have not seen this movie, but I've heard about it.
It's beautiful. It's with what's the name of this actress? Foster?
Diane, no, not Diane Foster. Anna and the King. Let me check also, Julissa, from my end. Maybe I can.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, yes. It's a beautiful movie. You have to watch.
Yeah, and there is one situation in Burma that is causing, I think, is a problem for the Burma, you know, that there's one situation for their government that she's going to have to deal with, and that is that they have a minority population in Western Burma called the Rohingya people. The Rohingya are people who are um, are there are Muslim people who are actually ethnically they are not Burmese. So the people from Burma, the most of the people there are Burmese. The Rohingya people are actually their ancestry is more Indian. Their ancestry is actually probably Bengali. It might even be that their relatives came from India and settled in Myanmar before we had these countries, right? Because 60 years ago, there was no India or Pakistan. There was just India, and then you had Burma, right? So many people they moved. Maybe they were Indian people that moved to Myanmar. But after the British left, after the colonial power left, there were some of these Indian-looking people or different ethnic people in Myanmar, and these Rohingya people in Burma are not considered citizens of Burma because of many reasons, maybe their ethnicity, maybe their language, but probably their religion, because most of Burma's people are Buddhist and these people are Muslim. So there has actually been a humanitarian crisis in Western Burma. So right next to Burma is borders India and also borders Bangladesh on the west. And on the border with Bangladesh, there have been lots of problems because the Rohingya people are trying to escape Burma because they are being killed by the army, by different groups inside Burma. They're trying to leave, but Bangladesh is not giving them space. India is not giving them space. So there is a humanitarian crisis now for the Rohingya people. And if Aung San Suu Kyi becomes president, she needs to really solve this situation. It's a big problem for them in the international world because people are saying if you want to be a democracy, you need to treat everybody in your country with the same respect, or you need to include the Rohingya in your country. And there are problems. You know, when I was in Turkey, I heard people were yelling in the streets like, "Let's help the Rohingya. Let's raise money for the Rohingya people." Because Turkey is a Muslim country, so they have sympathy for Rohingya people. Um, but it's going to be a challenge because you know these people are refugees in their own country, so it's not going to be easy. That was the last thing I wanted to say, Julissa. Not to confuse you even more. I know I'm giving a lecture,
No, no.
but yeah. So that's another problem. If you hear about Burma, Julissa, you might hear this word Rohingya. So I wanted to give you a little bit of understanding of what that means. Um, but yeah, guys. Besides that, I really enjoyed it. This class, I learn a lot from you guys every time we talk. Um, any other questions or anything you guys wanted to say? I know it's very late in Istanbul, Harun.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome.
After 1 month, I'm so happy to join your class
Yeah, me
and
too.
to see you again. It's a very helpful helpful thing for me. Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you again.
Thank you so
Now
much.
in
Yeah.
the midnight in Turkey, after 4 hours, I have to get up to work.
Oh, go to sleep then. Go to sleep, Harun. İyi geceler.
So, size de iyi geceler.
İyi
Thank,
geceler.
thank you,
Take care.
Julissa.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Julissa, also. I'm very happy to meet you, okay?
Yeah.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you,
Bye-bye.
Haru. Bye
Alrighty. Take
bye.
care,
I'm
guys.
going
Thank
to
you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Take care,
take
guys.
care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. Yeah. no problems, tomato, tomato, same difference. You know,
Uh,
that's how we say it. But nobody says tomato. I don't know how we got that phrase, but everybody says,
for tomorrow, or it's another word?
yeah, tomorrow is different. This is, tomato. A tomato,
Tomato.
tomato. Tomato or
Ah,
tomato. Yeah. I don't know who says tomato. Everyone says tomato, but we have that phrase in English that we use anytime two people pronounce the same word differently, we say, no problems, tomato, tomato, no problems.
it's the
You know,
same.
it's the same, exactly. So it's interesting, but yeah, como tu ta, I love that, como tu ta, and they say many different phrases that are just, in Mexico, they say, que onda, way,
Way. Uh-huh.
way, que onda, way,
That
so,
way.
que onda, way, and then they say, órale, a lot.
Yes,
I
I heard
love
that.
órale. It's such a fun phrase. Órale.
Órale, ándale.
Ándale, órale. Yeah, exactly.
Órale, manito.
Yeah,
I
it's
watch too much Mexican TV, soap
las
operas,
las
TV shows.
telenovelas, right?
Yes, here almost all the day they displayed from during the week.
Mexico. Yeah, the Mexican soap operas, there are two channels that every family in the US, Spanish speaking or non-Spanish speaking, knows about. Univision and Telemundo.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like when I was watching Univision one day, or maybe it was Telemundo, the the way they advertise the soap operas, it's so dramatic, right? Like they say La Madrastra, and
Yeah.
I was like, what? It's not a movie, right? But the way they like the girl is crying, no mi amor, por favor, La Madrastra, It's like, and I was like,
Very
what?
dramatic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this is so funny. And then I was watching, I mean, the ads are funny, but the soap operas themselves are very serious, very good acting in some of them. I really enjoy it. Like a couple of the ones I've seen have been very fun.
Yes, but these days they are repeating the same stories from the past. They are making like remakes from all
Uh-huh.
the soap operas.
Yeah. Is it something that, I mean, I guess most of the soap operas are just like love stories, right?
Yes, love stories. The classic story is the rich guy that meets the poor woman. They have problems at the beginning, then they got married, then they live happy forever.
Oh, really? There's no madrastra?
Yes, there are. That
That
is part
sounds
of the dramatic part.
Yeah, right. So after they get married or when they want to get married, all of a sudden, La Madrastra aparece. It's crazy. I really like that. Like, oh my God, it's funny. It's really funny. And we have some soap operas in the U.S., but that are actually pretty famous. But young people don't really watch them. I don't think. I think they're shows for maybe older women when they
Yeah,
are, at home.
at home. Yes, watching.
Exactly. Great. So, did you do anything cool today, or how was your Sunday? Just a normal Sunday?
Today I didn't do something special. I was just at home, uh, resting. I was reading a bit of my book, The Alchemist, El Alquimista.
Yeah, yeah.
I started to read it, and I took two classes before, and that's it.
Awesome, fantastic. Sounds like a good weekend, or at least a good Sunday. Um, and let's see. So, I was going to wait a little bit longer, maybe another minute. I had two folks in my last class. It was an interesting class because we had some folks who were we actually had one new person, and then now we have Harun. Harun, nasılsın abi? Neredesiniz? But yeah, I know it's not the best setup, Harun, unfortunately. But if you have questions, let me know. We can always hang out outside of class also if you want.
Yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
I didn't see you on the Skype. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, Skype, I don't use that often actually, Harun. Gmail is the best way to get in touch with me. If you need something, Gmail is the best way. I I tell people I'm married to my Gmail. Gmail is my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm always checking it, like every second, every day. So yeah, here's my email actually, Harun. I don't know if I gave it to you before, but here's my email. Feel free. I check the Gmail all the time, so you won't have any
Okay.
problems. Yeah.
Now I'm adding it.
Yeah, fantastic. I appreciate that. How's everything in Istanbul? İstanbul'da sonbahar çok güzel orada.
Yes, actually these days not good for me because I think maybe you can remember that I tried to change my house from Asia to Europe.
Uh-huh.
So now I just finished it. So these days, maybe after these days, I will be relaxed and I will find more time to join the Kolingo class.
Absolutely.
And also before Kurban Bayram, I visited to Montenegro and Albania and Bosnia Herzegovina. So it's so busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw your pictures on Facebook, Harun. That was beautiful when you went to Bosnia.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's a
It's
really beautiful country, right?
very beautiful and very dramatic historical place. It's very effective for me. Uh,
No,
it's
that's
very,
awesome. It reminds you of the Tariq Osmanlı Tariq.
Actually, yes, there is some mosque, so I can see the my history, Ottoman history. But
Neredesiniz?
hello, evdeyim, İstanbul'dayım.
Çok güzel, çok güzel.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Because after 1 month, I just catch you.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining. I sent you the message on Facebook. I think you got a chance to see the message, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I saw it already, but I also told you, the midnight in Turkey, so now it's
Oh,
okay
yeah.
for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, well, actually, since last week, I have 2 morning classes as well. So if you can make it to those morning classes, I think that would be easier for your schedule.
No, yeah, because I'm working in morning, so I cannot join. So I can just between 7 or 10 p.m. In Turkey.
Yeah, so my first class is 8 a.m. US, which is, oh no, that would be 4 p.m. Turkey. And then my next class is 10 p.m., 10 a.m. in the US, which would be 6 p.m. in Turkey. So it's off by a little bit, Harun, unfortunately. I know.
It, I don't know how is your company arrange your program. Is it changing always or stable?
Yeah, no, it's stable. I actually chose the classes that I want to teach. I have things going on in the afternoon most of the days, so that's why I had to stop teaching by 11 a.m. because from 11 a.m. I have other projects that start between 11 and 5 or 11 and 6 p.m. Here, I work on those projects. So the morning I give to Kolingo 2 hours, and then the afternoon from uh, well, actually at night from 9 to 11 p.m. every night in the U.S., Chicago, and also 8 to 10 a.m. in the mornings, Chicago. So those are my 4 hours of Kolingo on the week. I say, how's it going? Other folks, I think they change different things. Sometimes they say, well, I never say, how are you? That's too textbook for me. I
Too
always
formal?
too formal for me. Yeah, it's too textbook. It's just if it's from a book. How are you? I am fine. And you, I don't like that. No. I just say, how are you? Or, I mean, I say, how's it going? What's up? What's up? I don't usually say what's up? I don't actually say. Maybe I'm just weird. But I always say, how's it going?
Something in between.
Something in between, exactly. The happy medium in the middle.
Like here, for example, we ask, ¿Qué tal? That's more common than ¿Cómo estás?
Yeah, exactly right. ¿Qué tal? Or ¿cómo te va? Right?
Yeah, I use more, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué
¿Qué
tal?
tal?
More. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's awesome. In the Dominican Republic, I think they say, ¿cómo tú estás?
Ah,
Yeah,
the
¿cómo tú
short form.
estás?
¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo
Yeah,
tú estás?
it's they really like it because it's much more relaxed. It's a very relaxed kind of Spanish. It's island Spanish. From all those islands like Puerto Rico and all these
Caribbean.
countries. Yeah, exactly. Those countries in the Caribbean or there's actually two ways to pronounce it, Julissa, right? So the way you pronounced it, Caribbean, or you said Caribbean, right? You can also say Caribbean. It's actually
Caribbean.
more it's actually more American to say the way you said it.
Caribbean?
Caribbean. Caribbean. Uh-huh. Caribbean. Caribbean is more American, but you can also say Caribbean. Both of them are 100% correct. Um, Sometimes in English we make a joke when two words sound the same, or when two words can be pronounced two different, or I'm sorry, when one word can be pronounced two different ways. The joke is, oh, tomato, tomato, tomato. That's how we talk. Because some people say tomato, even though it's very rare. It's a joke we make in English. So if I say, Caribbean, and you say Caribbean, I can say